Good morning, everyone. My name is Amor Maclang. I'm the Executive Director of the Philippine FinTech Association and also the convener of the World FinTech Festival. In behalf of our partners, Globe Telecom, Union Bank, and KPMG, we would like to welcome all of you to the closing panel of the Philippine stage, Brand Digital Pilipinas, the New People's Revolution. I am but an advocate of technology, and I'm not a coder, nor do I build apps. But when I was first introduced in 2017 during the crypto spring here in the Philippines, we noticed a big hole that needed to be filled. Technology needed to be seen as an advocacy at the societal level and not just at the industry level. All of us here believe that technology is our ongoing advocacy as a continuing quest to find solutions to problems that, as Tito would like to say, we need to focus on the people on the spot. Problems that could otherwise tear us apart are now being solved by technology. We believe in technology as the great connector through mass adoption, a true people's revolution indeed. When leadership comes not just from the government and our top companies, but from the everyday, ordinary people who are now challenged by COVID to change their behavior and their preferences. We are all here as believers and beneficiaries of what we now see to be the Philippine reverse diaspora, or what I call the brain gain. Some of the best and brightest technologists in the world have chosen to domicile themselves here in the country. There has never been a prouder time to be a Filipino. In a world that's been turned upside down by COVID, now is for the Philippines to shine not just in fintech, but in technology. As this more than 7,100 island archipelago gets connected via the digital highway, not only will cities prosper and economies improve, but a new national consciousness will take root and emerge. It is a movement that's called Brand Digital Pilipinas. But first, to discuss the promise and potential of what a digitized country can bring, it is my honor to present Mr. Ernest Coop, Globe President and CEO, without whose support this event would not have been possible. Mr. Coop.
Thank you, Amor. Thank you so much for having me. Good morning to everybody. And again, congratulations to you for being able to convene a lot of people who are involved in the digital transformation of the country. And again, it's great to be here with all of you. You know, being a Filipino brand is not simply being about indigenous crafts, products, tourism, about our beautiful country. It also comes in our newfound strength in this country, the strength of digital transformation. With the reverse diaspora of Filipinos and foreigners setting up shop in the country for their startups, the Philippines is poised to become, hopefully, the next tech hub of Asia. Investing in digital transformation is the pathway for the Philippine economy to keep running and thriving during and beyond the pandemic. Technology is not just a tool, it can become an advocacy and an instrument for nation building. And as a service provider of choice for over 96 million customers nationwide, Globe has cemented its position as a leader of providing for the Filipino digital lifestyle. The company has pushed for new digital businesses under 917 Ventures. It's a wholly owned subsidiary of Globe that houses Mint, the company that operates mobile wallet GCash, as well as digital advertising firm AdSpark, telehealth firm HealthNow as well. 917 Ventures holds all of Globe's incubated products and services that are beyond telco. Through exploring the potentials of digital transformation, Globe is confident that the Philippines can catch up with the rest of the region in terms of ICT adoption, especially in the areas of great importance like advanced medicine, health, wellness, as well as the delivery of basic services like education, and most of all, financial inclusion through FinTech. Pioneering the tech scene, Gcash reported its transaction volumes flowing through its platforms actually hit 1 trillion pesos at the beginning of December of 2020. Over the past few months, Gcash has grown from an app that people turn to for convenience to becoming a platform that is necessary for your daily tasks. Through the use of the most comprehensive and inclusive digital solutions, Gcash believes it can unlock more digital avenues to make the Filipinos' lives more bearable during this crisis. With 2021 just around the corner, opportunities await the Philippines to become the innovation hub of Asia and hopefully also that of the world in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Koo. Our next guest panelist absolutely needs no introduction. He is a global household name who has made the Philippines proud, and his fame and accomplishments extend beyond our borders. But recently, he has thrown his hat into the technology space. I remember as early as 2018, I think, there was the PAC token, right? That we were all wanting to have. And recently, he has thrown his hat into the fintech space, being an investor and CEO of his own payments company. So now I think, Dr. Ortiz, we're going to co-opt Senator Manny Pacquiao into the technology and to the fintech space. Everyone, let's please welcome Senator Manny Pacquiao. Good morning, sir.
Hello, good morning. Hello, everyone. How are you?
Yes, thank you. We are so glad you can join us today.
Thank
And
you.
yes, we were wondering if you could tell us a little bit about your venture and also your journey into technology.
Thank you for that. PAC Technologies will launch a PAC Pay digital pay platform for global influencers, brands, and fans by early 2021. And we are collaborating with RIMC, FinTech remittance firm licensed by the Monetary Authority of Singapore for our initiatives in the FinTech space in Asia and beyond. This will make cross-border transactions easier for our countrymen, especially the OFWs. PacPay is also designed to incentivize users on a global digital payment platform with an exciting one-of-its-kind rewards program with a part of our proceeds supporting beneficiaries in need. That's the that's our platform.
I wonder, no, if part of the rewards would be the chance to be able to meet Senator Pacquiao in the flesh. Thank you, Senator, and we look forward to actually hearing from you more later during the panel.
Yes, thank
Our
you.
next, yes, thank you, sir. Our next panelist is a giant in the fintech and the banking industry, and he's one of the Philippine leaders in digital transformation. I always refer to him as the former banker known as Tito Ortiz, but now is technology evangelist. But more importantly, he is a mentor to many and primarily for me. So it is my honor to welcome Dr. Tito Ortiz, Vice Chairman of Union Bank of the Philippines. Tito? I think you're on mute.
No, I was going to say thank you and good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone, since this is broadcast globally.
Tito, You have been involved in, I remember a few years back when blockchain was on everyone's lips, right? And you were really instrumental in opening up the eyes of big corporates. And now that we're launching brand Digital Pilipinas to the rest of the world, how do you see this gaining momentum, especially amongst big corporations?
Well, I think first of all of us appreciate, unfortunately, as a result of COVID and the response, that sustainable, inclusive competitiveness in the future as individuals, as enterprises, and as a country is the goal. One that can only be achieved if we take a whole country approach and become digital at the core. This way, we can increase productivity exponentially, not just marginally, lower dramatically our cost to serve or to produce, deliver ever increasing utility value in our products and services, offer great customer experiences as expectations from the public keep rising, and most importantly, to be able to scale up and leverage on the ubiquity of digital and broaden access to markets and customers and supply chains. Now, the pandemic broke through the inertia of digital adoption. I think that's what will give us hope in the future to accelerate adoption, which would have been 5 years hence to maybe 1 or 2 years from now, especially among SMEs and corporates and their customers. So now we have a real opportunity to tech up Pilipinas, one industry vertical at a time, one company at a time, one person at a time. And equally important is the government, both national and local, will now tech up. So people are more engaged, the interest has skyrocketed. So I think the momentum is there. It's exciting times. Let's grab this opportunity to be a world-class, competitive, inclusive economy. Thank you.
Absolutely. And I look forward to our conversation with the rest of the panelists later. You're absolutely right. There's never been a better time to be in technology and never a better time to be a Filipino than now. Thank you so much. And now, last but not the least, let's welcome one of the prime movers for RPA and AI and the lady who used to be known as, right? The CEO of tax and accounting firm KPMG. I'm already calling it out, but it's going to be our newfound evangelist for digital transformation, also amongst the top 1,000 corporations in the country. One of the greatest revelations for me this quarter was to come across the work that KPMG has been doing in the RPA and in the AI space, especially in many big legacy businesses. So at this point, allow me to welcome Ms. Sharon Dayan, KPMG Chair and CEO. Hello, Sharon. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, Amor. Thank you for inviting me here, and good day, everyone. I think this is a very opportune time to talk about Brand Digital Pilipinas. And indeed, digital transformation is the way to hasten the recovery of the Philippine economy from the national level down to the municipalities. We do see a number of players who are at the forefront of the digital movement, leading the way in improving how business is done, elevating customer experience, and leveraging technology to make Filipinos' lives more secure, convenient, and fulfilling. This digital movement is indeed paving the way for the Philippines' rise to become the future tech hub of Asia, if not of the world. But what will it take to make this sustainable? I think we do need to have the different players in this digital transformation ecosystem working together. We need the government agencies, corporates, and SMEs embarking on their own respective digital transformation journeys by making strategic investments. We need the workforce to transform as well. And this means the alignment of our educational system to cater to the needs of a digital economy. We also need a government providing the policies to ensure that the players in this economy are adequately protected. So if we see digital transformation happening at the government and corporate levels down to the small and medium enterprises within this ecosystem, we can get the biggest industries to tech up and we can all work towards digital Pilipinas.
You know, Sharon, speaking of teching up, I'd like to direct my question to Mr. Ernest Koo of Globe. You know, sir, most people know Globe as a household name in telecommunications. But it seems like the past few years, and as you've intimated in your introduction, you have actually been quietly teching up various industries, right? From insurtech to edutech to health tech. Could you expound a little bit more on that, please?
Yes, Amor, thanks for the question. It's a great question. Globe as a telecom institution realizes that, we've built so many assets throughout the years of being a telco. We've been in the business for 20 plus years. And these assets are really comprised of our customers, who we love dearly and we're very focused on. The data we have about these customers, because telcos globally are one of the biggest caches of data, and we use that data to profile for preferences, and in Gcash's case, even for credit scoring. The distribution we have at Globe is quite extensive. Our load is available in over 1.2 million points around the Philippines today. We have tremendous partnering capabilities and a partnering reputation. We partner with the best in the world, whether it's in social media with Facebook, content with Netflix and Spotify, HBO, I could Amazon, I could name Google host. In FinTech, it's Ant Financial, the biggest FinTech in the world today. And then of course a great pool of people and talent we can repurpose for the task of building solutions for this country, and of course capital, right? So we put up 917 Ventures just recently to formalize this effort of incubating businesses that will provide digital solutions that make the Filipino life much easier. We've worked many years in trying to shape Filipino digital habits, from moving them from pirated music. Remember the days you side-loaded in Makati Cinema Square, for I don't know, 1 peso a song, and recording industry was really hurting and no revenue coming from the Philippines, to today, the standard of Spotify everywhere. We did that to people even. Now, the journey is being focused on getting people digital when it comes to finance, right? And as I mentioned, we crossed the threshold in a milestone, and I was just told actually this afternoon that we crossed 1 trillion in the first week of December in terms of the money flows that's occurring within Gcash. So that acceptance has been just phenomenal. But we continue to scar the opportunities that are available, given the lack of infrastructure, the lack of solutions that may be present in other segments and other verticals. We put up 2 recently. One is a venture called Health Now, wherein we took our Consulta MD, teleconsultation, telemedicine business, and matched it up with the brick and mortar assets of AC Health, which is our parent Ayala Corporation. So we now have a more inclusive and comprehensive app called Health Now that you can do everything from consultation on phone and video to prescription issuance and medicine delivery. And very soon we'll be launching lab appointments and even appointments to hospitals using the Ayala network of hospitals. And the other thing that emerged from the pandemic was also an effort that focused on enhancing the Filipino online grocery shopping experience. We saw that a lot of Filipinos were taken, and I'm sure people here have been buying through Viber or buying buying groceries online. I myself did that as I had much more time when you're at home. And I'm proud to announce that we partnered up with Pure Gold our longtime partner in loan distribution, to create a service called Pure Go, right? So here it is again in partnering, combining their supply chain expertise, their supermarket operational expertise with Globe's knowledge in digital and in analytics, right? And marketing. I can say we're pretty decent at marketing at Globe, and we've launched the service to have the truly end-to-end online supermarket out there with delivery. So we've launched it, and the app will be forthcoming. It's on the web at the moment. So we continue to look for these pockets of things where using the Globe assets, we can leverage and build more convenient solutions for the public. 917 Ventures was built for that. It's well staffed with entrepreneurs in residence, and it has the capital that Globe allots it to develop and opportunities such as what I mentioned.
I'm sorry, I couldn't help but say this, but it seems like very soon we'll also be starting to refer to you as the former telco CEO, now technology champion, right?
I'm just trying to follow my idol Tito Ortiz over there.
No, excellent, excellent. Thank you. Um, I just have to ask one point. There is one recurring thing that you continue to say, which is the power of partnerships, the
Yes.
power of cooperation, right? So instead of building your own, you partner with those companies that are at parity with Globe. Tell us a little bit about that. This platform ecosystem building you seem to be doing.
Yes, it's kind of admitting to ourselves that we can't be everything to everybody. And if you are going to build everything from scratch, it's going to take you forever. The best validation of that is the partnership we've had with Ant Financial for the last 3 years, right? We have been migrating to the Alipay platform, which they use, and that's the underlying platform for GCash today. I mean, how can you go wrong with a platform that serves about 1 billion people around the world? Our little platform we built, and we've been nursing, actually, not nourishing, nursing for 12 years prior to that effort. And, one of the things that got us really scaling was being able to be ready when the pandemic hit. GCash was ready. It was scalable. It had all the necessary features. It was stable. And, I think that taught us a lesson that indeed much better partnering than competing. So we look for areas where, just like the supermarket venture we have, our friends, our Pure Gold, led by their CEO, Vincent Coop, said, I really don't, I'm not really good at digital. I said, I'm really not good at supermarkets either. So I said, but if we can put our assets together, I think we come up with a pretty decent proposition. And we've always had this principle and philosophy, right? That 1 + 1 = 3. And so we continue to do that. We're going to explore other ways we can leverage partner skills and Globe skills to develop a product very quickly, scale and satisfy the consumer at the end of the day.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ernest. Senator Manny, there has been a huge clamor, really huge clamor for you to be in the World FinTech Festival. As a global boxing legend, who is first and foremost a Filipino respected all over the world, you have decided to found PacPay to help push the boundaries and bring our fellow Filipinos into a space where they too can become competitive and excel. Many of us in technology really cheered when we heard about your desire to be a tech investor and a tech founder. How will PacPay benefit both MSMEs and Pinoy customers alike, sir?
Thank you for that question, Amor. Amid this pandemic, we have seen an incredible opportunity to adapt digital technology, including global digital payments. We entered the regional market with the intention of helping our businesses grow. This will be beneficial to the MSMEs and Pinoy customers. With PacPay, we can help local businesses connect to global influencers and millions of fans around the world. Filipinos will be able to enjoy massive discounts from global brands and participate in our unique reward program to receive exclusive perks, including limited edition autograph merchandises or event tickets. User may also save as they spend. We have forged a partnership with a licensed FinTech remittance firm to allow seamless, faster, and safer cross-border solution to make payments affordable and convenient. The PacPay ecosystem is designed to support Filipinos who are in need. As users transact via PacPay, part of our proceeds will support charity projects in the Philippines. And that's our vision.
Mr. Ku, I kind of sense and smell that probably a partnership with G Life is in the offing because PacPay seems to be as much a lifestyle brand as it also is, a fintech brand. Thank you so much. Yes, I'm excited for this future collaboration. Now, Dr. Ortiz, wow, I read how they referred to Union Bank as uh, the lanky player, medium-sized lender a few years back. But now, Union Bank is now known as one of the best digital banks in Asia. And Euromoney even recognized Union Bank as having Asia's best bank transformation story. I think many of us who are your disciples are already familiar with the story, but maybe for the rest of the world who's hearing it for the first time, what was that light bulb or that trigger moment that set the stage for the transformation of Union Bank into also being a technology company? Dr. Ortiz?
Yeah, thank you for that question, Amor. Actually, more than a light bulb eureka moment, the greatest push came from that visceral feeling of existential threat, which you can't help but having when you are interacting with futurists, with thought leaders, with innovators in Silicon Valley, in Israel, and even in attendance in events like the Singapore FinTech Festival. It left me with no doubt that we digitize or perish, and that we needed to significantly create convexity in our strategic plans. So we started 8 years ago this journey towards the horizon, this unknown horizon, knowing that when we get there, we would see further and continue from one horizon to the next in a spirit of constant experimentation and first principles thinking. So, along that journey, it turned out to be more difficult than we thought because it was a lot more involved. The execution of a transformation was not merely digital transformation, but it was transformation at the core. Not just about technology and process, but we had 5 other pillars that we needed to work on. The first was culture and values, to frame a new way of thinking, a new way of doing things anchored on customer centricity rather than product centricity. We needed to, people and organization needed to change to be more human centered and work in agile. We needed to change our strategy looking at ecosystems and embedding banking therein, as well as using data science and artificial intelligence to create those great customer experiences and to hyper personalize at scale. And as Ernest mentioned, we needed to be more collaborative, to have partnerships all over. And fifth, we're a regulated industry. We needed to engage regulators to bring live these innovations through regulatory sandboxes or controlled POCs. So the end game is not about digital transformation, it's really about total transformation. And that's the challenge. And we need to pivot and we need to iterate and we need to learn as we go along the way, one step at a time toward that horizon until we get there and see further. Thank you.
Very compelling, that existential threat. I call it the compelling power of no choice. Right? So thank you so much. Wait, there is a question here for Senator Manny coming from the audience. So Senator Manny, if you would indulge us, please. PacPay is said to be faster and is a safer cross-border prepaid solution that will be extremely convenient. So in what other ways can tech companies, fintech companies like PacTech, help in advancing the Philippines' position as the next tech hub in Asia, if not of the world? I think the entire industry is looking to Senator Pacquiao to help carry the Philippine flag for technology all over the world. Senator?
Thank you, Amor. PacPay is positioning to connect brands, influencers, and millions of fans into a global digital ecosystem. With the power of influence, we can bring together like-minded people all around the world to share invaluable resources via our rewards platform, while at the same time pursue a common mission to help those in need. The true measure of success for technology is of if you can attract as many of as the right people using it. Now, when I say right people, I mean that the people whom the technology is meant for are using it to improve their lives. We call this mass adoption in the industry, and if Philippines can be a country that leads mass adoption, we will definitely fulfill our vision of becoming a very competitive tech hub in the world.
Senator, we cannot imagine a more prominent advocate and champion for brand technology Pilipinas than yourself. So maraming salamat po.
Thank
Dr.
you.
Ortiz, sorry, just to add to what you said earlier, you mentioned something about the dynamics with regulatory that has actually enabled you in your space to be able to come up with all of these innovations. But I think it's not just with, from what I understand, it's not just with the local regulatory bodies that you've had collaborations with, but also with foreign regulatory bodies as the MAS, the Monetary Authority of Singapore. Could you speak a little bit more about that, Dr. Ortiz?
Well, we've had a few collaborations. I think the first one was on APIX, which is an API exchange, and that basically allows fintechs across Asia to go into a central platform for which allows us banks in turn to connect to them and gain their services. And it works both ways, but it avoids the need for the long period of proof of concept and due diligence and a lot of work before we can do work as a bank with a fintech. So we can do it in APIX, and that allows us to have a more variety, a larger number of fintechs to explore and to build some interest. So it's kind of a dating game, so to speak, with an opportunity to also have some experiences, and you only come forward. So that's one. Second is we did a blockchain cross-border remittance from Singapore all the way into a Cantilan, Surigao del Sur, where it went through our eye-to-eye network where we put together now 125 rural banks, and using our own stable coin, which is approved by the Banco Central, which is called PHX, to be the token that exchanges value in the platform. The third thing, well, there are two more things that we're working with. One is uh, Business Sans Border, which I think has been renamed as Proxtera, and I believe they're going to have their MVP sometime in 2Q 2021. Basically, this is a global, an SME platform where domestic marketplaces and platforms where SMEs in, are members of, can join centrally an integrated hub, which is Proxtera, and immediately be able to discover and gain interest both on the supply side and on the market side from a broader area, arena of SMEs, rather than the typical limitation to either your large corporate ecosystem or your community, which is the typical SME business model. So this brings the SMEs to the world. And the fourth thing that's we're working with together with IMDA of Singapore is a discussion with the Bureau of Internal Revenue about joining the PEPL network, which is one of the different options for the BIR to be able to digitize e-invoicing and e-receipting, which is super critical in terms of getting the corporate trade flows into the digital space amongst the members of its ecosystems. So to my recollection, those are about the four sort of interactions that we specifically have with the Monetary Authority of Singapore and the IMDA.
Thank you. Dr. Ortiz is also one of the founding members of the PropTech Consortium of the Philippines. And what we hope to be able to do is actually tech up yet another vertical as real estate and property development. Speaking of dating, right, Dr. Ortiz, you mentioned that it's kind of like dating. And I think we are joined here by one of your more prominent and favorite dates. If I may introduce Mr. Sopnendu Mohanty of the Monetary Authority of Singapore, without whom the legendary Singapore FinTech Festival would not be made possible. Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, Sopnendu.
Hi, good to see you. In fact, the last 2 days, I have no time zone left in my head. I'm in a multiple time zones. So thanks for telling me good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Maybe you should add good night.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mohanty. We will be with you in a bit. We have a lot to talk about. Dr. Ortiz talked about many of the innovations that the government of the Philippines and Singapore are actually pioneering. You know, Mr. Koo, in an earlier panel, it was mentioned that M-Pesa actually came to the Philippines and learned from GCash and the BSP and took it back to Kenya for what is now the history setting M-Pesa network.
Right.
Now, so many innovations coming from the Philippines, eye to eye, among others, which we'll talk about later. Now, Miss Sharon, you know, like Dr. Ortiz, I look to you and the KPMG network to really challenge the big corporations to have a very top-down approach towards teching up the country. Because I remember I've had a few conversations with Dr. Ortiz, and he would always say, if we can only get a handful of the big corporates to join in this technology bandwagon, then we will be well on our way. The pandemic has dramatically shifted the way business is done. And in certain instances, the big corporates, some of them have not been as agile as the union banks and the globes of this world. What do you think is the greatest challenge CEOs in the Philippines have faced in taking up digital transformation despite the pandemic? Sharon?
Thank you for that question, Amor. So, we've asked a number of CEOs in a survey to name the greatest challenge that they have faced in accelerating digital transformation. And the biggest issue they noted was the lack of insight into future operational scenarios. So companies, obviously, to make investments would need to understand whether a COVID-related change, such as what we see as shift in customer behaviors, is really an evidence of a permanent trend that is emerging rather than just a temporary effect of the pandemic before they make any investments. So the challenge for organizations is to focus their efforts and investment on areas that are capable of generating the most long-term value and avoiding the areas that might just prove to be a short-term reaction to a pandemic. However, I think as we move towards new reality, as we are now close to 9 months of quarantine, I would like to think that CEOs now have more information to distinguish between temporary shifts from the more permanent trends brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic. For instance, amongst the themes that we are seeing as having enduring impacts include the work labor force arrangements. We see the reduced work for the work from home arrangements to be continuing, obviously the digital commerce, and also investments around business continuity and resilience.
Thank you so much, Sharon. And if there was one message that you could actually tell many of our big corporates right now, what would it be?
I think what's important is for companies and CEOs to be relevant in these times, we all do not have a choice but to digitally transform.
Exactly. Like I said earlier, the compelling power of no choice. Now, our next guest is not really a guest, but we see him more as a member of the Philippine FinTech family. So, yes, it is my honor to welcome a friend of the Philippines, right? Isn't that right, Dr. Ortiz? And one of the founders, the founding fathers of FinTech in the world. And like I said, without whom this convention, this annual getting together every November in Singapore would not have been made possible. Mr. Mohanty.
Hi, Amor. Good again. Good to join the crowd in Philippines. One of my favorite country when it comes to fintech, and I always believed the fintech ecosystem in Philippines is something unique. And I say with a lot of sincerity, and I've spoken about this earlier, that Philippines has a highly energetic population who want and aspire to have a better life. That's one. Second, they are very technology savvy. Third, they're very kind people. Fourth, they have a desire to come together, build a community of success. And to me, the fintech opportunity in the Philippines as a country is perhaps the best suited. And I wish that we can do more in Philippines. We can do more, and that's what I've been trying, because I'm trying to see that how can you get fintechs to Philippine market, create more inclusion. I was hearing Senator Manny's desire to build a payment platform. I'm quite inspired to find a legend like him actually has shifted to fintech. It's such a pride for all of us to see him doing what he's doing, because it gives us an immense pride. It gives immense pride because it tells us that the mainstream fintech has become mainstream. A legend like Senator Manny coming and doing fintech, we are all proud of him. So I think that's clearly shows that why Philippines is so different. And you have people from banks, CEOs who are doing remarkable work. Your governor is an excellent advocate of fintech. Your late Governor Nestor is my inspiration always. I always say one of the best central banker I have ever met is your late Governor Nestor. And I think the central bank and the policymaker there are definitely very proactive. PR norm, who does the inclusion part of BSP, very, very focused, dedicated to the sector, and your public infrastructure definitely getting better. I think that's the broad thinking when it comes to Philippine ecosystem. And I think that's what you want. Any further insight you want from me beyond Philippines? Any questions you have?
Actually, before I get to the meat and potatoes of my question for you, how are you? Because it's been insane. From Singapore FinTech Festival, it's now the World FinTech Festival, right? So as if you didn't have enough headaches, so
Yeah.
you decided to take on the world.
Yes.
Tell us a bit about the past few months.
No, you look. When you do this such a large scale, people are scared because in a digital world, you expect things to go wrong, and at this scale, 24 hours, 44 cities, common platform, you build something huge. The speakers are of remarkable credential, but you get ready for challenges. And when we opened this festival, we had login issues. My goodness, login issues. And I always believed that how much you try, the Murphy law catches up with you. But we had a remarkable content, and I always believed that when people see this content, they'll forget about the issues. And in fact, tonight I'm going to announcing all the contents are going to be free, so that people can have access to remarkable content for 5 days, 24 hours. And I was joking, if anybody looking to find a job in the next 6 months or one year, spend 5 days of content hearing of SFF, you'll get a job, because you get every possible insight from technology, finance, economics, macroeconomic thinking, the policies, the challenges. Read it, go and get an interview, you'll get a good job. So yes, challenges are there, issues will happen, but we have to work together. And I want to thank all of you. I want to thank all of you. FinTech is a community work. It is not a single person achievement or single person focus. We all together. My favorite Union Bank team is out there, and I don't want to tell more about them because we are buddies now. So yes, so this is coming together. I'm very happy, and we'll continue to do better.
Yes, with all that content coming along, we'll work with our partner, Globe Telecoms, to make sure that we can make it more inclusive and socialize the
I am going to give it
everyone.
free. From Friday, from Saturday, all the content beautifully curated is free. Go and give it to every Filipino you feel who needs to access. Do it.
That's right. Thank you so much. Wow. Sopnendu, Senator Manny. Oh my goodness. Sopnendu, with all you do for the country, Senator Manny, do you think we can find a way to pass a resolution to make Sopnendu a persona con grata and adopt him? Persona con grata and adopt him as an honorary Filipino. Senator Manny, do you think that's possible? Yes, there you go. Yes, Senator. Kasi,
That's
FinTech
possible.
We're going
That's
to
possible,
adopt
Amor.
you. Huh?
Yes, that's possible.
Yes,
We
thank
can
you so
we
much,
can adapt
Senator.
him and naturalize it.
But conversely, Sopnendu,
Yes.
we need to find a way to adopt Senator Manny as a son of FinTech, not just for
Yes.
Singapore, but
Yes.
for the
Globally.
world. Since
Yes.
you
Yes.
represent,
Yes.
since
Yes.
you represent FinTech globally,
You know, I
we
would
need to find a
tell
way
you.
to get Senator Manny.
I'll tell a story. When I told to people here that from my Philippines friend here that Senator Manny is going to be a FinTech talk, they were like stunned. They were like, "Is it real? Is it?" And I was so taken back the amount of hero worship they have for him. And I'm sure he's coming to FinTech is a great news. Of course, he can be the FinTech citizen of the world. Why not?
You know, this is as good as an MOA,
Yes.
Mr. Mohanty.
Yes.
This recorded video is as good as an MOA. So we will work on that. Senator Manny, we cannot wait to have you become the FinTech face for the world there, as said by Sopnendu Mohanty, who is one of the founding fathers of FinTech. Now, before we close, all good things must really come to an end. I'd like to hear from all our thought leaders, because right now this is all about brand digital Pilipinas. We are hoping to get more Ron Hoses, Angeline Tams, Sopnendu Mohanties to continue to come and move to the country, right? I think that's Sopnendu with all the invites you get from Tito, that's really what he's intending to do, no? Bringing it to all these beautiful islands. Now, let's start with Mr. Ernest, who will speak to all of our leaders. What would you say to the rest of the world? Why is the Philippines so ready for the rest of the world?
Well, the Philippines presents a whole host of opportunities, right? It's not just simply the manpower. Obviously, we've got great manpower here. I happen to be also involved in the BPO industry in my early days, and we saw the talent of the Filipino to serve foreign companies in terms of their needs from a processing perspective, and I think we've now leveled up to have great technology people in the country. But the other opportunity lies in the fact that there are so many issues that can be solved here from a digital point of view. The Philippines presents, because of all the inefficiencies that have crept up throughout the years, a chance to use digital as a solution to many of these problems. And the Filipinos finally, I think, are open-minded now. I mean, as Tito said, the pandemic was a key factor in getting people's eyes open. The people don't want to usually try anything new, but they were forced to in this pandemic, and they found it to be quite useful and quite convenient, and even now finding it safe to use, right? So building the trust in digital solutions. So if the world wants to come, the Philippines is open for business. And as they say, let's tech up the Philippines.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, Ernest. Senator Manny, hikayatin po natin silang lahat to come to the Philippines. What would we want to say to the rest of the world so they'll all come to our country and invest in technology and fintech, sir? Sir?
Okay, this is a great opportunity for us to invite all the business opportunity here in the Philippines to come to the Philippines, and Filipino are hospitable and friendly, and nice to put up business here and do the business together. I mean, to encourage also the Filipino people. So thank you so much for this privilege to have a conversation with you guys, and this interview. We learn a lot, and we can encourage a lot. So God bless everyone. Keep safe.
Maraming salamat. Salamat kaayo, Senator Manny. And of course,
Salamat
we want to
kayo.
also invite them to invest in Mindanao, right? And in the Soxargen area. Grabe. Where you can live, work, play near the beach in the Soxargen area. Salamat ng marami. Thank you for
Thank
all you
you.
do for the country.
Thank you.
Salamat kaayo. Dr. Ortiz, oh my God, this revolution you've started a few years ago has really snowballed. Dr. Tito?
Well, I think these are exciting times. We have a very deep penetration of mobile in the Philippines, and a lot of these digital markets. You need a market for any business, and that market is ready. So I think it's really now the impetus is on businesses to be able to deliver against the expectations of a digital ready marketplace. And we're beginning to see that. The great challenge, obviously, is SMEs, but that's the great opportunity because that could scale up with digital, and that can bring them out of their local towns or local provinces out into a national marketplace or even a global marketplace. And that's very exciting opportunity. I think we also represent one of the greatest areas for doing proof of concepts for inclusive prosperity, for financial inclusion. So we know that 70% of Filipinos are unbanked, that digital is still a very small percentage of transactions. Maybe we're at 10% now, maybe a little more. So that's a great opportunity space, both in trying to lift up, bring people into a financial inclusive community, which is not only about making profit, but more importantly, about living a higher purpose. And I think that combination of a higher purpose and the opportunity to make profit really is a unique proposition that the Philippines offers. And I think digital transformation in particular is what makes that possible.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ortiz. He's our philosopher, in-house philosopher technologist. Sharon,
Yes,
we're relying on you to bring on most of the big corporates. Are you up for the challenge?
of course we are. Philippines has demonstrated to the world how we've done well with the BPO industry. In fact, based on the performance of BPO this year, despite the pandemic, we know that a lot of the organizations have demonstrated how fast they've pivoted to adjust to the work from home and to the other requirements. And I know that Philippines can deliver on that. And as to the market, as Dr. Ortiz said, there is so much potential in terms of expanding the inclusivity. We do have a lot of unbanked, especially in the far-flung areas, and there is that much potential to not just for fintech, but for other services as well. So there is no better direction but to digitally transform, and Filipinos have demonstrated that we can do it. So there is no way to go but, foster, promote brand Digital Pilipinas.
Maraming salamat. Thank you very much, Sharon. Now, Sopnendu,
Look, I
how
can
do you
only,
how do you see the Philippines and Singapore progressing into post-COVID
I think
2021 and beyond?
I think Philippines and Singapore have already progressed, and we are going to start thinking about data connectivity, which I think recently we announced with BSP. We are start talking about infrastructure connectivity. We believe both the countries can come together and succeed by just connecting our digital rails. We believe digital economy as the future, and we know, and I think irrespective of what people say, I think if in the ASEAN market, one market I'll put a huge bet for fintech to succeed, blindfold me, it will be Philippines. So I will strongly encourage do what you're doing, continue to have that positive outlook, help your SMEs to digitize, help your SMEs to recover faster, help the banks to give them more access to digital finance, and ask global fintech to come to Singapore, come to Philippines. Singapore can send some fintech and collaborate and find a way to work together. This is an opportunity of lifetime to come together and to make some meaningful impact to our society.
Thank you. I think Senator Manny, we shall bring Mr. Mohanty to not just Sarangani, but all the way to Lake Cebu in South Cotabato. I think that's something that we should do for Mr. Mohanty. Thank you, everyone. I swear this is perhaps one of the most incisive and impactful discussions I've had in the past 12 months. Brand Digital Pilipinas is certainly emerging, and it will lead to positive transformation, not just for the Philippines, but also for the rest of the world. There's so much unfulfilled potential, and there are so much gaps that could be addressed, as Ernest said earlier. We are both a land of promise and also of opportunity. So on this note, we would like to invite everyone to please come to the Philippines. Please support next year's Singapore FinTech Festival. As Sopnendu promised, this is going to be in person in Singapore again. Thank you for coming, and mabuhay po tayong lahat. Maraming salamat po. Everyone, let's say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
Bye.